to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Oh, welcome in. Saturday edition, the Fantasy Footballers. Gentlemen, do you realize 1 week from today?
I was just looking. When is the Hall of Fame game?
Well, I was going to say August 1st is 1 week from today, which is the beginning of...
The beginning.
The beginning of the beginning. It is the beginning of our 5 days a week episodes.
August 6th is the Hall of Fame game.
Cardinals, right? Saints.
Ooh,
I think maybe
baby.
Cardinals Saints.
Man,
Cardinals Panthers.
Oh, Panthers.
The new look Arizona Cardinals.
The funny thing is you will probably get a lot of Carson Beck in that game. That's not that funny, though. That's more sad.
I can tell you I won't watch it.
Yes, you will.
I don't think I've ever watched a Hall of Fame game in my life.
We watched a little bit of them.
Yeah, like you turn it on and you watch a throw or two, and then you're like...
football's football, man.
Jacoby reported. So
just hasn't been paid yet.
Right. Well,
his agent said that they're working on it.
They agree.
It's him.
At least at the time of this recording, they still just agree there should be more money, but they can't agree on how much.
They actually told him to check under his pillow every night at camp, and at some point, the contract fairy is going to come in.
Well, you're going to wake up, and there's going to be a crisp Andrew Jackson under that pillow for you.
There's a lot more than that coming to rookie quarterback Fernando Mendoza, who finally signed his deal. That was news we got earlier this week. What is going on today? Our final divisional breakdown episode, the NFC West.
It's the other clue that we are about to be full go.
Yeah.
When the divisions are done, it's time to really, really play fantasy football.
The Ultimate Draft Kit available right now. If you want to head over there, check it out. The mock draft tool, now a part, ultimatedraftkit.com. The draft analyzer went live at the beginning of this month. You can get breakdowns to all of your drafts coming up and how we review them, where your strengths and weaknesses are, things like that. And if you're an Ultimate Foot Clan member, you get everything all season long. Quick question of the day says this. Any tips for how you handle training camp hype and news? I mean, I will tell you right now, we have a Slack channel. It is the longest named Slack channel that we have. It is camp-highlights-and-hype-train because we are always sharing things going on in camp. But what types of things are you looking for in that news that you care about, and what do you ignore?
I think the first most important thing on how to handle camp news is to assume that there's another side. Like, don't just read something and go, "Oh,
you live your life."
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's two lines of thinking. One is confirm all your biases.
Yes.
And anything that comes out that is what you thought, you just know that you are going to be right. But this time of year, like a perfect example, very, very recently, in the last, I think, 2 weeks, there was reporting that David Montgomery and that the Houston Texans viewed David Montgomery as a true 3-down workhorse back, and he is going to get all the workload. And within the same exact time frame, a news report came out saying that him and Woody Marks are going to split the carries. They are not both right. I promise that. I can promise that he is not a 3-down workhorse, and he's going to get all the work and also splits evenly with Woody Marks. Like, so if you only see one of those, you're led astray. So I think the best thing you can do is just casually read these news blurbs, think about it, and then see if you keep getting, we talk about that drumbeat, but like if you keep getting that same information over weeks and over months, like just let the little train start rolling. But it's not a bullet train. Don't get on the bullet train.
Yeah, I think it is exciting whenever you get the opportunity to hear about players that you care about. I mean, it's super fun. You're also you could kind of pivot the question into like preseason highlights and plays and things like that. Like, there are going to be rookies. Those are the ones that make the biggest impact a lot of the times in the preseason, that make a play here or a play there that gets your brain thinking about what the potential is for them. But I think I agree with you. My advice was going to be, if you keep hearing the same thing over and over again from a reliable source, if you keep hearing us bring up the same type of news report from multiple sources over and over again, it can factor more into your thinking. But we're paying attention to the same stuff as you. We're looking at things that are competitive backfields or depth chart situations and how these offenses are they going to line up in 12 personnel a lot and who's playing the slot in, that might be something we can learn, right? I mean,
yes,
there's a decent chance that in the preseason we get a look at a starting offense from the Chargers and what does that look like for the very first time. It's not going to be all the playbook of Mike McDaniel is not going to be unveiled.
No.
But you are going to see some formational things and you're going to see, oh, wow, it's Njoku and it's, Gadsden out there together and things like that, or Charlie Kohler.
Or it's Njoku and Kohler.
Exactly.
And then you're like, uh-oh.
So those are some things you pay attention to.
I have
and then obviously confirm your biases.
Yeah, I mean, have fun. But
Mike, I do need to ask you a question after this about one of your players, but go on.
Okay, my two things are negative stuff is usually more real. Like it sucks, but because
coming from the team,
yes,
especially
from a team or a coach or just anything you're hearing, like make sure you're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna check this out because everyone's trying to say great things about beat reporters. Don't like to crap on their team. In fact, they usually go out of their way not to because then they can lose access to their insider stuff and
neither
the sources.
do coaches. Coaches are talking up everyone. Everyone in the backfield is amazing.
If a coach says something bad about a player, you need to pay attention.
Yes.
And then number two is, and I'm saying it into the mirror, we often like to see what's the headline, like the blurb. Whoever put the blurb up, they're specifically writing something that will catch your attention. That you're like, ooh, what's that all about? Sometimes you got to go in and actually read what's going on because then you find out, oh, the person who summarized this into a blurb, I'm reading the quote way different than what they just summarized it.
Yeah, read the actual source that it's coming from, not just the title, because oftentimes it is very at odds or it's just so hyperbolic or you didn't really understand the context. But Foot Clan, when it comes to hype pieces, things you're excited to hear, we're going to teach you how to deal with that. Let's hit the news section.
News and notes from around the league.
What's the first piece of news here, Andy?
Oh, I didn't know how much you were setting up there. I was just trying to go along with it.
Yeah.
I mean, the first piece of news that I'm seeing is that the Jacksonville Jaguars head coach Liam Cohen, I saw this interview, is expecting a big year.
Oh my God, it's happening!
From
guys!
From Bashaw Tootin.
We know now. We know. It's a done deal.
We already knew, Jason.
I thought he was going to say that he's expecting kind of a piss poor year.
Yeah, I
guess he's expecting a big year from him.
This is the confirm your prior stuff. Oh yeah, Mike. How does it make you feel? Because you got your priors, right?
I don't hear nothing about Crod in this blurb.
Well, they were asking him about Tootin.
Yeah.
So obviously, Foot Clan, if you like the news, just really get fired up about it. Change your rankings.
I guess one way of reading this could be they didn't say. His answer wasn't, he'll be a part of a big committee.
Yes.
His answer wasn't, we like him and other guys. So, I mean, he just focused in on, if you listen to the entire context of the interview, if you want the actual news story, it's not that. The expecting a big year is nothing to me. What actually mattered to me was what Liam Cohen talked about Bashaw Tootin doing last year, and that he came in to their system with no familiarity to their protections, no familiarity to their schemes and plans and the way they were doing things, and that he felt Bashaw Tootin basically played well, but played hesitant, so hyper-focused on getting things right, and that he thinks this year he'll be able to hit the ground running, knowing how everything works, and then lean on things like his 4.28 speed in the open field because he kind of was running maybe a little bit more with thoughts in your head.
Yeah, the adage of like you don't want to be thinking while you're playing. You want it just to be pure muscle memory. You know exactly what's happening, so you just react instead of having to – because it's like tenths of a second while you're like, oh, am I supposed to do this? Am I supposed to do this? It changes. Like in the NFL, a tenth of a second for someone like Bashaw Tootin that's the difference between a 15-yard play or a run for -2.
Now, I thought the news you wanted to talk about, which, look, sometimes we have a pretty easy job, like in the grand scheme of jobs.
I mean,
I'm very thankful for it.
sometimes I feel like a coal miner, but go on.
But I mean, for Mike to
I do
come
that on
in,
the side.
for Mike to come in and lace up his shoes, step up to the microphone on a day when Ben Sinnott was not named one of the top 32 tight ends according to Pro Football Focus.
It's a tough day.
I mean, that is when you've got Colby Parkinson in there at 15.
We all make mistakes.
When you've got Gesicki in there and Darnell Washington and Cole Kmet and Theo on that list.
Is Chig
Chig
on that
is
list?
on that list.
Oh.
I mean, if you ask me if a tight end's on that list, I'm going to tell you yes, I bet.
Yeah.
Unless you ask me about Ben Sinnott. So, Mike,
Next year.
Is this a government shutdown? Senate is closed?
Yeah, the budget has not been approved yet. But I am excited for any plays he makes because it will be a fantastic show.
It will be fun.
You tweeted that, so that's why I thought I could bring it up
because
it's funny.
Ben Sinnott is now it's a bit,
It's a cult classic.
and like I still think should a opportunity present itself, he could succeed, and he will be on the field a lot more in this new offense. It's probably Okonkwo. They gave him all that money, but it's like Okonkwo has done more than Ben Sinnott. That's not the argument, but he's really done not a ton.
Give me
either.
the top 5.
Top 5 tight ends.
Yeah, according to PFF, top 5 ranked tight ends. I'm just curious if you can name all 5.
George.
Yep, number 1.
Is Mr. Loveland in the top 5?
He is number 5.
Okay.
That was going to be the hard one.
Well,
One of the hard ones.
who are
Laporta.
Laporta is definitely in there.
Laporta's 4.
My dude.
Because
Did
Laporta,
you know that?
I mean, this isn't a
Laporta's
fantasy
a good football player.
Yeah,
This is top tight ends. Yeah, the top ranked tight ends. The 2 you're missing are the 2 most obvious possible. So you should
Trey
be able to round
McBride
this
and Brock
out.
Bowers.
Yes, those are the top 5. It goes Kittle, McBride, Bowers, Laporta, Loveland. Next news story for you. Cameron Wolfe from NFL Network talking about Teteroa McMillan. He will play, quote, a lot more big slot this year.
We like this for fantasy football a lot.
Yeah, well, the last half a decade, when you have moved these bigger players into the slot, they're not slot-only players.
Right.
It's not like, you've got to be a Wes Welker, Julian Edelman type. But getting guys in the slot, you can make some more mismatches for these guys and use their strength and physicality. You see that with plenty of other sensational players around the league. So this is a role he did not play hardly at all in his rookie season. So it's exciting.
He did
to hear
in
that.
college, so
right?
This is fantastic news of trying to get McMillan up near that 30% target share, which we need.
And
Well, do you just out of your brains, do you think you could guess the slot percentage for another big guy, Drake London?
I mean, these guys move around. I would guess.
I don't think London played that much slot. I would have guessed like
30%?
18%.
40.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
That's what I'm saying.
When
That's
he was
more
with
wonderful.
when he was with Arthur Smith, he was 15 to 18%.
Yeah, that makes
The
sense.
Zach Robinson era, he moved up into the 40 percentile.
Dude, these old curmudgeon OCs, you just have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, you have these special weapons, but you're asking them to just win on the outside every play.
So does this mean Neighbors is just going to be exclusively playing the outside role when he comes back, never moving into the slot? Because Matt Nagy?
I don't know.
If he's moving at all, we'll be happy. But Ted McMillan, more opportunities, added 8 to 10 pounds. Zach Rosenblatt says he believes Isaiah Davis is the early favorite for the Jets' backup running job, not necessarily Braylon Allen.
Not the beefcake.
He's always looked better than he played.
And he's looking even better.
Yeah. Joe Mixon told his former teammates on the Bengals that, quote, his career is over, according to NBC Houston's Aaron Wilson.
And the fantasy footballers told you that last year.
Remember I traded him?
Yeah.
I got the last trade in.
You did. You got something for nothing. And, I mean, this is not breaking news, but I guess it's official.
It's
more official.
It is a very curious case.
Well, it seems like he got a special procedure of some sort that just literally ended his career.
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill, if you watched his video, it went out on X. It's a longer video. In some regards, it's like, oh, like good for you. He says in the video that doctors told him he may never walk again after his last injury. He's obviously walking and running and trying to get back into shape, but he also talks about the fact he has no power in his left leg, trying to regain the power in his left leg. It was all basically, like training video, getting healthy video, hype video. But I don't think the day is. I don't think tomorrow's the day we're going to find out Tyreek Hill is joining him.
No, it may not happen at all this year, and then at his age,
it may not happen again.
It could be the end.
Tyreek one leg. We got a new one.
Yeah, so JK one leg, that just kind of rolls off. Tyreek one leg feels really kind of like mean.
Yeah, but I'm okay with it.
All right.
He's 32. So if you're saying a full year of rehab, he's 33 going to make an impact.
And we don't know if that's the
team.
case. I mean, it could be one of the things like Malik where it takes a little bit longer this year and he joins the Ravens 6 weeks into the year or something, but that's the latest we know about his injury. We'll take a break, and it's into the NFC West.
Let's get divisional.
Okay, guys. Daunting. That is the best descriptor, in my opinion, for the NFC West. The defending champions reside in the NFC West, the 14-3 Seattle Seahawks. What a year for them.
Mm-hmm.
They won their final 7 games and then ran all the way through the playoffs. The Los Angeles Rams.
So what? But the division had 39 wins?
Well, yeah, the Rams were 12-5, just to give you the numbers, in San Francisco.
Well, no, we don't.
Was 12-5.
Whoa, no, totality. We're just saying, what an incredible division, and you are lucky if your team is a part of it. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
it's a nice spin.
To be the best,
it's the opposite.
You got to beat the best.
It's like not guilty by association, but great by association.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. Yes.
You must
like
be good. Oh, you're part of the NFC West.
Like the Deucers feel.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like they're if it's like Rams and Seahawks and 49ers, and then like
the Deucers. You're part of this. You're part of it too.
All three of you.
You're darn right we are.
You 3 Cardinals are in the
division.
division.
3 Deucers, 3 wins.
That's what the Cardinals got. So,
happy for you guys.
So 36 of the 39 wins came from 3 juggernaut teams. It's wild because
14, 12, 12, 3.
Well, the Cardinals contributed significantly to those 14, 12, and 12 numbers. I will say this too, like we'll talk about Seattle first, but by the way, this is the second division in the last 25 years that sent 3 teams to the divisional round of the playoffs. And going into the year, it's looking promising.
Oh, for sure.
But I think the thing that gets lost on me a little bit is like Seattle won the Super Bowl. Seattle and the Rams played a big-time game at the end of the year to define the winner of the division. But there's San Francisco at 12-5. Kind of, I don't know. To me, they took a backseat in the press category for last year with injuries and things that they dealt with, and yet they still, like normally they are very extreme. They're either dominant or they disappear.
The Shanahan era has always been that way. They're really, really good, and when things go bad, they shut it down and get a high draft pick and lose a lot of games. Amazingly last year, things went very poorly for them on the injury front, and they still won a ton of games. I mean, Christian McCaffrey staying healthy was enough. Shanahan there is great. It really is a juggernaut of a division. The only good news for those 3 powerhouses is they each get 2 free wins.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, and
yes
they do.
The Seahawks were 14-3, franchise record in wins. The projected win total before the year was 7.5. They nearly doubled it. 6-3 in 1-score games. Super healthy team. We know it's hard to repeat. It's hard to come off of a Super Bowl victory and deliver in the same way. But right now, their projected win total is 10.5, and they're favored in their first 10 games.
Whew.
And 14 of 17. That is tied with the Baltimore Ravens' second best odds to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, one of the things I didn't remember before preparing for the show, obviously the Seahawks had a good offense and a good defense. They're the Super Bowl champions, but they were number 2 in points per game. That you don't think, when I think of like the most prolific scoring offenses, even last year in the NFL, I don't know that I would have from memory, put the Seahawks in the top 5. They're good, but that's why you had the number 1 wide receiver in JSN, and a lot of great games from Darnold as a streamer. But you look at the offense this year, and there are some big changes. I mean, first of all, this was a team that won a lot by running the ball, and you lost your Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker. You don't have Charbonnet there,
Right.
So you're relying on a rookie, and then you also lose Kubiak, the mastermind of this offense, who really was a mastermind. I mean, what he did last year schematically was as elite as anyone, as Shanahan, as McVay. Kubes was incredible in not only his play design, but his play call throughout. And so you've got a new play caller. You've got a much weakened running game, personnel-wise.
Could be.
Should be.
They were the lowest pass rate in football. So their points per game were number 2, but they were the lowest pass rate, to your point of like how much they leaned on. Like the 2 main running backs that they had are not going to be their backs this year to start the season at least. Their new offensive coordinator's name is Brian Fleury. He did work with Sam Darnold in San Francisco in 2023, but that's a variable in play. Now, the thing that's nice about them, and I think the backbone of being favored in 14 of 17 games is the number 1 scoring defense. But I do think it leaves us a little bit vulnerable on the fantasy front. Darnold had 14 picks. He had 6 lost fumbles. He wasn't perfect. JSN, I feel like we all understand, that was a very efficient season.
JSN was perfect.
So what do you mean when you say that? Because people need to understand how special a year it was for JSN.
So he's the first player to lead the NFL in receiving yards on a bottom 3 pass rate team, a 73% catch rate, led the NFL in yards on deep passes. I mean, if you turning on the highlights on, when you're watching Monday night, whatever highlights, it's just every week was JSN with a perfect touch pass and a wide open JSN, and it was just truly perfect, and it can't always run that hot.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things that can't really run that hot. One, if you are over 100 receptions, the idea that you are 15-plus yards per reception, nearly impossible. He did, which is why he led the league in receiving yardage. You can't project that to repeat. It would be very, very difficult. Not even if Darnold has a great year and JSN has a great year, which they should by all accounts. JSN is elite, a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL, but the best of the best don't usually do that. So you would expect a regression to normal elite numbers. And then he also had double-digit touchdowns, which is something that is not always the stickiest stat. So when I look at the presumed top 3 guys at wide receiver by ADP, you got Chase, you got Puka, and you got JSN. Obviously, all 3 are awesome. The only one that I worry about having any regression is JSN, simply because there's a team that doesn't want to pass the ball a lot. They lost their incredible offensive coordinator, and everything clicked right. So if you just get he catches a very nice 69% of his passes, well, that's going down.
Sure. And this is not to say he's not worth his draft price. We're just saying that in the range of outcomes, don't just expect another domination. I'll give you for an example.
Yeah, you could have a really good year but be the wide receiver 5 or 6 or
Jamar
7.
Chase, as a rookie, caught 81 passes for 18 yards a catch. Since then, 12, 12.2, 13.4, 11.3 last year.
And he's awesome.
Jamar Chase had a magical rookie season. And then defenses just said, we're not going to allow you to do that. And so we'll see how teams adjust against JSN.
Well, and the thing is without the running game that they had with Charbonnet and Ken Bone,
right?
Now defenses can actually adjust for that, because with this defense and running game that they had last year, that's part of what opened up JSN down the
prices.
field.
Yeah, I was going to say
price is worth the price of admission.
Yeah, I mean, the Ken Walker thing is funny because to start the year, we're not going to have both these guys. But Ken Walker was not a dominator week in and week out last year. That was not the storyline of Ken Walker. This was a shared backfield. Both guys struggle with efficiency at times. there's a world where like Jadarian Price can come in and be 90% of what Ken Walker was in season. If Charbonnet gets healthy, we'll see how healthy he is to start the year. But, just coming back to JSN, he was also the number one most targeted player in football, 36% target share. Will that stay the same under Fleury? Probably close to it, but they also didn't have any Rashid Shaheed integration into the offense. He was a midseason acquisition. They're going to be doing that. Torrey Horton got hurt and was out for the year. Arroyo didn't get involved. It could get spread around a little bit more. He could be at 30.
I will say this. The names you just said that you're like, oh, they could get better. Those are still the only names there. I think that he will have one of, if not the highest target share in the league again this year. That is one of those where, yeah, I mean, it could go down to 30, but 30 is incredible. That's like a guaranteed wide receiver one. So the depth chart there, I mean, you could also say maybe Shaheed is more involved, but Cooper Kupp is older.
They said they're going to involve Shaheed a lot more. I mean, that was just something in the offseason, the coaching staff. So I'd be curious to see if we can get another fantasy value out of an offense that isn't at a high pass rate. That's something I'd be paying attention to. Jadarian Price, so let's talk about this running back room from a fantasy perspective. If you go and you watch the tape of them drafting this guy, I've seen 2 videos in the last week that I want to get your thoughts on. I know you weren't both huge Jadarian Price fans coming out of college. I was. I liked what I saw. To me, it was one of those situations where you were stuck, right? Like there was just no world where he was going to get a heavy workload when you share a backfield with Jeremiah Love. So I don't think we know what his true potential is, and I think that's why teams had him slotted in as the number 2 back. That being said, the draft video where they take him in the first round and they talk to him on the phone and like what their plans are for him, I thought that was an interesting video where they're just, they're very, very excited to get let's not underestimate what a first-round pick means. That's all. You're the defending champs. You use a first-round pick on the running back spot. And the second one was just an interview with it was Ian Rappaport and another reporter I'm forgetting, but they were talking to him about workload and what he's ready for and what the team thinks he's going to be ready for. One quote that stuck out to me from Jadarian Price was, "This is what I've been waiting for my whole life."
Sure.
And he was speaking about workload. He still said, hey, if they want me for 30, I'm good for 30. They want me for 15, I'm good for 15. But he did speak in a way that was like, hey, I'm ready to take on whatever they asked me to do. If that's to be the every down back to start the year, what could we get out of him? Because I feel like the range of outcomes is everything from rookie sensation on a team that runs the ball the most to disappointing committee back.
Yeah, this is an interesting pick this year in fantasy because I think where he's going in drafts right now, I'm not a big fan of Jadarian Price. This is a player, I mean, as far as for what he's not bad, but he did not strike me as a first-round NFL draft pick at all. He has no production profile. Never had 1,000 rushing yards. Granted, he was behind Jeremiah Love, so you can kind of forgive some of that. But the receiving profile is really, really tough to imagine a player who caught like 5 passes this year, 4 passes this year, not this game, to come in and be a 3-down back in the NFL. That's a leap that I can't really get myself to take. However, he's not that expensive. And you're right. This is a good offense that wants to run the ball, that is invested in him. So could he go out there and have 1,200 yards on the ground and 8 touchdowns? Yes, he could. And so I'm fine taking the shot on him for where he is right now. Now, I do think come August, he won't be where he is right now because rookies always fly up later. And there will be a point where I just like other options, other wide receivers, even other running backs that I'm willing to take a shot on more because my percentage chance of him being that breakout elite fantasy winner is probably closer to closer to the 30 side than the 70 side.
Mike, last year Charbs, who was not sensational, was the RB24 in this timeshare. Walker was the RB22. Jadarian Price being drafted as RB27.
He's going as the RB27, and in best ball right now it's the RB26. So this isn't a situation where the markets have a gap that needs to close like we have with Devontae Smith. Truly the biggest question is, was the timeshare Mike McDonald saying, I want fresh running back, I want fresh legs out there, cycle between them, this guy is this guy is this, or was that Coobs? Did Coobs see Kenneth Walker and say, this is what I want you to do? So we don't have that information, and you kind of got to make your your own gut call here of what you think they'll do. But the price is perfectly fine. So best ball right now, like, I know you guys you're believers in the talent. I believe in the talent. I hate the situation though. It's like Judkins. Judkins is going just a couple running back spots above Jadarian Price. Price outscoring Judkins to me is that's not wild or silly to think that that's going to happen. So I'm in on the situation. There's a lot, if it's similar running back production to last year, that's a lot of fantasy points to go around.
The favorite in the first 10. That'll be interesting to see. Literally, if they hit the ground running,
and it's like
with Price,
the person in the way right now is George Holani, and he has his supporters, but he was an undrafted free agent. He's 26 years old. It's like,
I mean, he's irrelevant.
He is irrelevant.
He's so in the way that they spent a first round pick on a rookie running back,
and that's what I mean. Of the situation says this should be no problem. Jadarian Price should walk in and within the first few weeks be the 3-down guy.
Jadarian Price is going to have the vast majority of work before Charbonnet gets there. They just don't have I don't believe Holani is good enough. Holani played 5% of the snaps last year, 2% of the snaps in his rookie season.
Emmanuel Wilson is still there as well, but his name hasn't been popping up.
All right, the Rams, we got to move on. Last year, 12-5. They were just 4-5 in one-score games, which another way to say that is their 5 losses were by 1 score. They were in every game. They were dominant. Since McVay's been there, they have hit their over in terms of their win total in all but 2 seasons, and he's been there since 2017. So they're just great with Sean McVay on a regular basis. They are favored in all but 1 game this year. They had the offseason splash of adding the incredible Myles Garrett. We'll probably get a news blurb at some point that Aaron Donald is coming back.
I believe he's going to.
Do you remember the super? I cannot forget the super team, the Eagles super team. When they added all those offseason pieces.
Yeah.
And they were just supposed to be unbeatable, but then they weren't.
Yeah. Except
not that the Rams can't do that.
When the super team is 2 Hall of Famers on the defensive line.
Yep.
Oh, dude. If you have Aaron Donald, and who knows what Aaron Donald has left in the tank after being, and yes, that's where it goes. It's plenty. With Garrett, you don't have to blitz.
You got to double team both of them. It's like, all right, guys, let everyone else through. I don't know how you play defense against that.
So they were the number 1 scoring team, yards, points per game. Their defense was 10th in points per game given up. That's going to most likely improve. They're going to be a force. Can you run as hot as their offense did last year again? That's one of the questions. They won't need to as much if the defense is that great, but it's Sean McVay. Like, there are certain offensive play callers. They're not going out there and laying down. They're not going out there and trying to, our defense is going to win this game. We're not going to worry about it. They go out there to break records. They go out there to set the tone for the league. This was a dominant team last year, and they were number 1 in yards per game and had a good defense. So, I don't feel like they're as complicated of a start-sit situation for people or a drafting situation like Puka. Like the Puka versus JSN question is fun. I mean, you get to make that decision. I like Stafford more. I like McVay more than Darnold and Fleury, so I have Puka higher.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Puka should be higher. You've got a lot of years of McVay's system and a better quarterback. So, to me, Puka is the safer player. And then the amazing thing is Puka's always been a dominant fantasy asset without the touchdowns coming. And he isn't the type of guy who can't get touchdowns. If you look at like Zay Flowers and Puka Nacua, you're like, okay, well, those guys haven't really dominated at touchdowns. I don't think Zay is going to.
Puka did last year.
But, like, he can do it without it and can do it. He's got the body, size, style, ability to really be a goal line threat. The questions for the Rams are the incredible, nonstop, lifelong disrespect for Kyron Williams and whether or not...
You're going to get more of it on this show.
Oh, absolutely.
You're absolutely going to get more on the show.
I know.
Because Corum is coming.
I mean...
And he's coming for your your hopes and your dreams in this whole narrative.
No, he's
Like
not.
you're not going to talk about this anymore after this year.
No,
You're not going to bring it up again.
You're right. I won't. I won't need to.
Wait,
finally.
are we live or is this the 2025 Blake Corum is coming after Kyra?
This is exactly what we heard.
Punts.
This is exactly what we heard last year. We heard it last year. We heard it the year before with someone else. I don't even remember because whatever. I'm not saying Blake Corum's not good. He is. He's very talented. Will he score touchdowns around the goal line and siphon some away from Kyron? Yeah. Will Kyron be a top 5 running back? No. Will Kyron dominate this offensive system and be a running back 1 in fantasy? That's going to happen. It's going to happen because it always happens.
He's not going to be a running back 1 in fantasy.
Put that on the board. That's a bet.
That's spicy.
Over the
Water bet.
ADP wise, he's not.
Yeah, because people know, most people, not Jay, but most people know, over the last 6 weeks of the season, Blake Corum was on pace for 1,100 yards and 14 touchdowns. I know there's a lot to go around.
Over the last what?
The last six games of the season.
So Kyron, during those same games, was on pace for 1,300 yards.
No, I know.
But I'm not saying Corum is not good. I'm saying Kyron will be an RB1.
Do you think you're going to have one running back with 1,300 yards and one with 1,100 yards?
No.
Okay. I think that this team started to fall in love with Blake Corum over the back half of the year. Just because Kyron was more efficient and productive in that time doesn't mean Corum isn't going to get more opportunities. And I think they'll use both of them. You can like Kyron. It's just a matter of me liking him as an RB2, you liking him as an RB1, because I don't know, maybe he co-signed on a house for you or something. I don't know why you're that.
No, it's because he signed on the contract for the Rams to make him their starter. And it's also just because
they know what they need. They need to share the load to get to the Super Bowl with these guys.
It's just weird, man, because, okay, think about it like this. These are genuine facts, okay? One of the best offenses in the league, led by Sean McVay, who has always, since the Todd Gurley time, had a dominant running back for fantasy. One of the best teams and offenses in the league has a running back who they have paid a lot of money, who the last 3 years, and he's under contract for several more years, the last 3 years he's been a top 10 fantasy running back. He's 25 years old. Those are only just facts. But for some reason, Blake Corum's emergence, it just makes people think Kyron is dead.
No.
It really does. Like the conversation I've had with other people.
It's just acknowledging that you could have two valuable fantasy running backs in the same backfield.
You could.
We've had it with Monty and Gibbs before. We've had it with Melvin Gordon and Austin Eckler before. There are offenses like Detroit's a good enough offense to give you two running backs. Los Angeles is a good enough offense to give you two.
Absolutely.
I'm just saying that it's more like Kyron's the running back 14 to 16 because Corum can step up to be the running back 22. Last year we had top 24 running backs in Seattle. So that's just I think you're going to see a slight change in the workload, and I think Corum's a little more explosive, and I worry about the goal line being a little more shared. That's all. That's not hating Kyron.
I mean,
it is in your mind because you want me to.
That he wouldn't and couldn't be a RB1.
No, I didn't say couldn't be. I mean, don't put the word couldn't.
That's what you insinuate when you bet he's not going to.
You don't insinuate he couldn't.
It's nonstop hatred for Kyron Williams.
The bet is he won't be. That's the bet, not that he's incapable of it.
You better leave every draft with Blake Corum.
That's
he's going in the 8th round. That's cake.
Yeah,
and Kyron is being drafted where I think he'll probably finish. So that's fine. This is just, can you acknowledge that Blake Corum could be valuable for fantasy?
Absolutely. I said that from the beginning.
Because I think you hate him and he couldn't be.
Blake Corum
now you acknowledge your hatred for Kyron Williams.
I hate him more than you.
Yeah. That's because I hate him none.
How dumb could people be to not consider Matthew Stafford a valuable fantasy quarterback? Because he is not in conversations. This is the MVP of the league.
This is the
on the best offense that you believe in.
The quarterback 2 from last year in fantasy.
So how dumb are we that he is the quarterback 11 off the board in the 10th round, or are we just?
I don't think
we all
dumb.
Understand it.
We all understand it. He had an amazing season. He could replicate it, but throwing 7.7% of your passing attempts for touchdowns is just an outlier of outliers. We talk about that specific stat every single year.
His touchdown total, Jason. He threw more touchdowns last year than he did in the 2 previous seasons combined.
Yes. Yeah, but he might do it for 2 years in a row. He might do it for 3 with the system.
It's Devontae Adams,
who's there.
Yeah. I mean, He definitely could, but
you said it almost like it was like if he's a part of it. But
if you go back over the decade plus we've been doing this show, almost every season we come and some quarterback, and they're great ones. They're never bad quarterbacks that throw for 40 touchdowns, that throw for over 7% passing touchdown rate. And every year we're like, that number's probably going to come back down. And every year it does. Even the people that repeat them, they repeat them every 4 or 5 seasons. They don't really put those 7.5+% passing touchdown rates up in back-to-back seasons. I can't think of many examples.
Well, there aren't many, but the great ones have, including Tom Brady. I mean, Tom Brady did that 2020, 2021 with Tampa Bay. 40 touchdowns, 43 touchdowns, 6.66, 4,600 yards, got better to – I mean, we're like, oh, he can't do it. I mean, I remember the talk of Tampa Tom Brady, 4,600 yards and 40 touchdowns. He came back for 5,300 yards and 43 touchdowns. It just feels that way in Los Angeles. That's all I'm saying. It feels like this team is that good.
It's Davante Adams to me for everything of does he still have it? And like I think fantasy – I'm
moving Stafford up.
Make it so. Like we're pretty.
Got him at 10 already.
We're pretty divided. I think the social dialogue on Davante Adams is like, was last year the beginning of the end, a crazy low catch rate with the MVP of football, but a truly dominant touchdown rate, but low receptions, not what you're hoping for. If Davante Adams still has a lot to give, then I think Stafford could be up there in the high 30s again.
What do we think about Adams?
Yeah, I mean, I am coming around to him being
It did seem at the beginning of the offseason you were out on Adams.
I was kind of out like on Adams and on Evans. There isn't a depth chart change here that I was expecting. Like I thought maybe we'd get some more bodies into the room to contribute.
The Rams were looking. They wanted A.J. Brown
I just don't know how he doesn't throw for 40 touchdowns again if Adams is on this team. And they're going to run 2 tight end sets, and they have talented tight ends. Like the goal line offense is called Matthew Stafford. That's what I love about this team. It's very fun for fantasy if you're willing to throw around the goal line.
And it's fun for fantasy.
Like their highest probability touchdown is Stafford with the ball and running Puka and Davante Adams around the goal line.
And if you run 12 personnel, then your targets are consolidated to those 2 wide receiver. There's, a tight end's going to, get a big catch here or there.
I mean, Parkinson signed a big contract. Ferguson is coming into his own. Higbee's still there.
I'm in on Adams because like last year, the touchdowns is ridiculous, 14 touchdowns, but it's like 24% of the targets, but he only caught 52% of them. Like that, something's weird. Something is funky about those numbers. I think the touchdowns come down, but the target share should stay right around 24%, maybe even up more. And then there's no way he's catching half of his passes again.
One thing that talked me more into Adams, statistically speaking, is I believe he's he still scored extremely high in terms of separation down the field. They just missed each other a lot, which was weird.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a concern.
It is, but it's the concern of like this doesn't make sense.
How happy would you be if we spent enough time on the first 3 teams of this division that the 4th barely got any talking time?
I think we can do it.
I think that sounds awesome. So this is interesting. You're talking about these touchdowns, the offense, all that. Davante Adams, I think around the goal line, Kyron Williams has been their guy over the. So I was just curious what like the sports books are saying about touchdown odds for Davante Adams specifically because.
Okay, you want to have us guess? I'd be so curious.
Is there a number?
So it's not total touchdowns. The way that they have it right now is the odds to hit 10 touchdowns, and so right now the odds to hit 10 touchdowns
to go over 10 touchdowns
plus 220.
I was going to go in the 3s.
Plus 105.
Yeah.
Holy
there you go.
Lord.
Barely anything.
Yeah, which is
they're saying
they're saying he is the 3rd highest odds at wide receiver to score over 10 touchdowns. So they don't think he's completely lost it. I will say that Kyron having 10 touchdowns is minus 125. Yeah. So higher odds to do the double-digit touchdowns, but that makes sense for a team that has such a good defense.
If Adams gets 10 touchdowns, he will be a top 20 wide receiver because the yards will go up.
I don't see Blake Corum on this list. I see Kyron way up there at the top by Gibbs and Henry.
Jake. Now we're talking. I didn't see Ben Sinnott on that list.
I see Jack.
Oh,
but
now you're with Ben Sinnott over here.
I see Drake May on the rushing touchdown 10 list.
Since my whole argument was, man, this guy's scoring 10 times.
You
cannot handle nuance in these discussions.
I don't know what you're talking about. I was just looking at something on my own.
Yeah.
Kyron, I feel like
I'm telling you, he co-signed on your house. You need his checks to keep coming.
I love Kyron.
Yes, you do.
Williams.
Yes, you
do.
The
human.
Geno Smith, Kyron Williams. I got your list.
Yeah.
We'll take a break.
Laporta.
We'll talk. Laporta too. Those have got to be my guys.
No.
Those three.
I don't need them.
Kyron, Laporta,
yeah, but
Geno.
We have those guys where it's like, should I make him an official my guy? I don't have to. Everyone already knows.
Exactly.
Everybody already associates me with Geno Smith is what Jason will say.
Oh, man.
The 49ers.
Being associated with Geno Smith for Jason.
Marv is your guy too.
Marv's risk. I'm saying Geno Smith is no risk.
Nobody drafts him. Nobody uses him.
It's a free bet.
And
if Geno Smith is anything competent,
yeah,
huge win. If he's terrible, we all like, what a funny joke that was.
But the issue is he's not competent.
Well, that has been my contention against you.
No,
yes,
but I love the bit. I'm fine with the bit of me being in on Geno. But the reality is Geno sucks. He's going to pass for so many more yards than what the Jets passed for last year. That's the only thing.
Well, you love Brosmer too, right?
Oh,
isn't that your other dude?
Dude, he's my Brosmer.
Maximus. What was the report on Brosmer? The team is still
they still believe in him. Also, if that dude went by Maximus Brosmer, I think we have
Maximus is underrated. Yeah,
we have a very different opinion of that player.
I'll bet he plays different.
He also has a different facial hair situation, which would help him.
What's he currently rocking?
It ain't a beard because he'd have a big old beard.
No, I was going to say
Maximus would have more of a Viking beard.
He'd have a big beard. Yeah. Can he grow one, Mike? Based on your studies.
I mean, I always he has the mustache. It's not the goatee. It's not connected, but it's the mustache, the soul patch into the beard. I always call it it's like the Spaniard or something like that.
Yeah. Well, we can work on it.
Maximus.
He might want to focus on the playing versus the facial hair.
I don't think he
doesn't need to.
So he needs to focus.
He needs to focus on the coaching
stuff he can control.
Really difficult games that I would put up on the screen if I was Justin Jefferson.
Maximus, start doing some play designs and really being a good leader in the locker room.
I call this the Trojan horse.
The 49ers, 12-5 last year, 5-1 in one-score games. They missed Brock Purdy for a number of weeks.
They didn't
7
miss
different
him.
Weeks.
Now with the Mac attack back there selling his body for everything.
Ricky Pearsall missed a bunch of weeks again. George Kittle missed a bunch of weeks again. Yeah. Brandon Ayuk missed the entire season.
Oh, that's right. He got hurt right away.
Yeah, he missed weeks.
He got hurt in week 1 after he gave us a touchdown.
He was Jason's my guy.
Yeah.
And
it was still a good pick.
Missed weeks 2 through 6.
Yeah, and then he came back and he dominated for the rest of the season until he got injured again.
Yeah, this is part of his story, and here's a little hint. And I know this from being 42. It happens more, not less, over time. That's the biggest concern. And when you come back from a major injury as well, you're compensating for that injury. Mentally, physically, you just hope George Kittle can stay healthy once he gets healthy.
Well, I mean, we just talked about Joe Mixon in the news. It's like if Joe Mixon had that surgery at 22, his career is probably not over. I mean, sometimes when you're older and you get injured more and how you deal with injuries suck more because, man, it sucks being old.
This is the 8th easiest schedule for the 49ers, according to Warren Sharp. I mean, they're not facing a first-place schedule, despite a 12-5 record because of the tough division. They were, as they always are, really dealing with major injury issues all year long, still put together 12 wins, a testament to Shanahan. Clay Kubiak working with Shanahan on the offense. They were number 1 in third down conversion efficiency, red zone offense, EPA per play on third downs, more shout outs to Kyle Shanahan for what he does. They did throw a bunch of picks. I mean, that was one of the things I think that stood out to me about like the Brock Purdy range of outcomes. Let's talk about Purdy, because I do agree. I see glory in the heavens for Brock Purdy. This is a player that I think could throw for 4,500 yards and a surprisingly high amount of touchdowns.
Agreed.
It could be like 4,400 yard, 37 touchdown season for Brock Purdy. That is in the range of outcomes.
I agree.
But two things have been a problem for him. One potential problem is just injury, because he's been injured a lot. This has been a problem for him. He's you talk about Mac Jones playing through. It cost him the entire season in the playoff injury, and then he missed a bunch of games last year. The second part that concerns me is how they have to manage his gunslinger abilities. Because if he turns the ball over, takes sacks, is a liability, this team is too good in other areas that I think they would pull the reins in a little bit. Do you agree?
I mean, he in his short time, 9 games, it was still a 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. So I think you just kind of live with the interceptions. As 3 years as the main starter, I'm not counting the like halfway in the rookie year. It's been 11, 12, and 10. Like he'll throw double-digit interceptions, but he is like he gets it. He gets what Kyle Shanahan is wanting to do, and he's able to execute on that. I really like Brock Purdy as someone who can surprise as a late-round quarterback, even though he's not giving you stuff on the ground really. We did have 300 rushing yards 2 years ago, but it's the touchdown rate. Some players just are in the system where the touchdown rate is going to stay high, and I think his will.
Well, his touchdown rate is insane. We talk about these outlier seasons where someone throws for 7% of their passes to complete for touchdowns, which is really those are the outrageous outlier years. He's done it 3 of his 4 years, which is some of that is Christian McCaffrey. You've got kind of some free passing touchdowns because you just do this little dump off and he ends up with a handful of receiving touchdowns. So that's helpful for Brock Purdy. I do think this could be the best receiving core that he's had. That was something in the throat.
Did you run out of air?
No,
I think he was starting to choke.
Yeah, it's just getting choked up on. A couple of years ago when Brock Purdy was, excellent, finished as the quarterback 6. When you have Debo and you have Ayuk,
because it was 4,331.
But now you added Mike Evans. Okay, maybe he's old busted and it doesn't work, or maybe he is.
Devontae Adams and gives you 12 goal line touchdowns.
Exactly. You've got Ricky Pearsall, who maybe he's healthy this year. You did spend a high pick on Dejon Stribling. I know that was mocked by the fantasy and draft community.
No, I'm told that. I don't know if you've seen what's going on lately.
I've seen it,
Jason.
I've seen it.
Several teams, including the Rams,
had
Stribling down as the best wide receiver.
The
in
number
the draft.
1.
Yeah,
the number 1. Not Carnell Tate, not Mekhi Lemon, not Jordan Tyson. Everyone had him as the number 1.
Yeah. Also, then Kalen Black in the 3rd round, a running back who didn't even go to the combine, and I don't think was on everyone's board.
I mean, this is a team that has made some.
They
reaches.
do their own thing,
They've
man.
made some reaches, and they've not worked out almost ever.
But I will say
that's the problem with it.
Stop reaching.
If Stribling is good,
sure,
and Pearsall's healthy, and Mike Evans is decent, this could end up being a very good wide receiver core for Brock. That's all I'm saying.
The defensive Stribling that I have seen talked about, and now these are not. This is me reporting on what I'm reading. Is Stribling is a strong blocking wide receiver, which we all know from Kyle Shanahan's time of your wide receivers, they need to be men out there and they need to block. This is a huge part of it. Like we had Dante Pettis. If you remember,
I have no recollection of that person.
Dante Pettis felt like a player who was about to break out.
Yeah, did he?
He did for a minute.
He felt
really
like
did.
it.
I have no recollection.
He wasn't a blocker.
And then into the doghouse for being too soft. And it's like Brandon,
never heard of him.
When Brandon Ayuk was having his success with San Francisco, like he kind of got doghoused too, and then turns into this like just a real physical player. So, so I'm saying that that's the argument for Stribling. They bring that up of can Pearsall even be that guy?
No, I mean, unfortunately, you have to put a lot of ifs and coulds into San Francisco prognostication because Pearsall hasn't proven to be healthy enough. Kittle?
No, Pearsall is difficult because when he's on the field.
Yeah, but he had games last year where I watched and I was like, that's good. And then games I watched and I was like, what's going on? Like, I don't know if he never got healthy.
That's most likely the case because he didn't really see a full allotment of snaps after the first 3 games.
You didn't even mention Christian Kirk, who is probably the second best receiver behind Mike Evans on this team.
Kirk will be a really solid role player for this team.
So,
probably not fantasy relevant, but he helps Brock.
They do have to start on the road against the Rams. So if you draft a 49er, your week 1 may be...
That's mean.
Like if you want to
That's mean to both teams.
The highest odds of Brock Purdy getting hurt are in week 1 against the Rams. But let's talk Christian McCaffrey real quick before we move on to the Cardinals.
Easy.
Christian McCaffrey, when he's on the field, he's been a number 1 or number 2 running back. And I do mean like the number 1 or number 2, not like A1 or 2. When he's off the field, he's the worst pick. I can say that because it's happened 3 times. You don't say that after one random season, but it is a risk. I mean, the older you get on a team that deals with injuries every single year, it is scary. I want Gibbs more than I want McCaffrey, but it's still in the back of my head every day that maybe McCaffrey will just have another number 1 season.
He absolutely could. The way he takes care of his body, the fact that every time he's ever played a full season, he is the number 1 or number 2 back. His utilization in the passing game, his utilization on the goal line. He had 75.
Why don't teams defend him?
I don't think they can, man. I've
never seen a player. The only other player that I've seen be more indefensible when you know the ball's coming to him is Travis Kelce, like in his prime. It was like these 2 guys just find empty parts of the field and you can't stop it.
It's equal parts like the obsession of taking care of yourself, your work ethic, all of that, but also knowledge of the game. I mean, he's always in the right spot, always makes the right cut. He does everything perfectly, and they give him all of the opportunities, which is both the good and the bad. My downside case for Christian McCaffrey is based upon the fact that he had over 400 touches last year. At this age, at 29, it is very, very difficult for a human being to have that kind of a workload and then be healthy the following season. So if he's healthy, he's awesome.
Yeah, we saw Saquon struggle.
Saquon struggled. I mean, we've got a long, long list of, and no one on that list is not a all-time great player. If you get 400 touches, it's because you were the center of an offense and one of the best players in the NFL.
That's it. At least 102 of those were receptions, and it's not that you're not getting hit with a reception, but you can protect yourself more instead of I gotta go between the tackles and I'm gonna get hit real bad.
Top 12 picks according to ADP right now: CMC or Bijan.
Are you asking?
Yep.
I'll
Bijan.
I'll take Bijan.
CMC or Jamar Chase.
Chase.
CMC or Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor for me.
I'll take McCaffrey.
JSN. Previous mention, JSN or CMC?
JSN.
That's fine.
Amon-Ra St. Brown?
Amon-Ra.
Amon-Ra over McCaffrey.
CeeDee Lamb?
I put Amon-Ra and CD up with that. I think they're in the elite of the elite tier.
CeeDee Lamb or CMC?
CD.
Ooh.
I'm like really worried about Christian McCaffrey.
Yes, you are.
This
yes,
is
you
just
are.
I need to go to church.
You get none.
Yeah, I
One
know, and
follow-up
that feels stupid.
question for you. If George Kittle was to miss, I know he may not, but let's say he's going to miss the first 3 games. That's what we find out, right? He's not on the pup, but they're probably not going to play him right away. He belongs where in the draft? 3 games that he doesn't play. Man. Where does he belong in fantasy drafts?
Man, like 10th round.
I think where he's going,
and you take him along with another tight end.
Where he is going, I have no problem. Where I am right now is I feel pretty. I feel good. I feel good about him. It's not 100% at this point, but I think we're trending in a strong direction.
Okay,
and he's a man.
I was just looking for we normally have music in the off season for a certain team.
There's because there's men on.
I mean, there's just Yeah.
I thought we were.
Guys.
We're moving on.
Feels so mean to Trey McBride. The Arizona Cardinals, the runt of the litter.
Just so unserious.
Let me explain how bad it's going to be. In the last 30 years, so going back to before, or the Falcon is 30, right? Are you 30 on the dot, Falcon?
Yes.
So going back to the birth of this fine individual.
Well, what? Let's not
This
get carried
individual.
away.
Going back to the birth of this
the individual.
individual. There has been only one other team than this year's Arizona Cardinals that has opened the year with a win projection under 4 wins. That's right. The Cardinals are joining the 2017 New York Jets, which I don't remember if in 2017 we even played 17 weeks.
Hold on.
Which maybe we're setting a new record in standard.
Also needs to be mentioned, it opened at 4.5.
And has been aggressively bet
the people
down.
said nay.
This said nice try. Never getting to 5 wins.
They are...
That's incredible.
They were outscored by 55 points. 55! In the fourth quarter last year, the worst in the NFL. They lost all their one-score games, almost 2-8.
Oh, and that was Todd Bowles' Jets.
The Cardinals started 2-0 last year, guys. Did you know this?
Guys.
Oh.
The 2017 Jets won 5 games. They crushed it.
Yeah. We'll be all right.
What, was it a 17-game season then?
On it.
I want to know if the Cardinals are setting a new
2017.
standard. I would imagine it's a 16-game season.
Yeah.
So the Cardinals are now
you would
the
think
lowest.
we would know when it changed, but
the
I don't
lowest
know.
It
projected,
is 16.
It's the lowest projected win total in a 17-game season in history, and it's deserved. You look at their schedule. I mean, the Cardinals are underdogs by double digits for the first 3 weeks of the year. They're going to get obliterated by the Chargers, the Seahawks, and the Niners. Then they're going to go to the Giants and get obliterated.
Oh, crap.
Then they're going to play the Detroit Lions and get obliterated.
They might win that.
They will
game.
serve the purpose in fantasy this year. And by the way, I love that I get to dump on this team, and it's not like somebody can attack me because it's my team. But they're going to serve the one special purpose this year. It is going to be a unbelievable sign when your player is facing the Arizona Cardinals.
Yes, because here's the defensive ranks from the 2025 team. 29th in points per game, 27th in yards per game, EPA per pass 27th, pressure percent 28, sacks 28. They sucked across the board and
equally
did
terrible.
Nothing to address the defense this year. I mean, the reason
they're not worried about us,
but this is a fantasy football show.
Yeah, I mean,
this is fantastic news. Because there are weapons here. There is, the whether Marv steps up or not, whether Michael Jerry Rice Wilson is real or not. We know Trey McBride is real, and we know that Jeremiah Love is an absolute sensational back.
He's going to be able to fight through some of what the Cardinals are on offense.
You have LaFleur bringing in an offensive-minded system. So the offense could be okay whilst the defense is the worst in the league, which provides fantasy goodness.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get a Raiders-esque type of offensive situation here. I don't think it's going to be good. I think you're going to be in a lot of desperate games. That could be good for fantasy. It can be bad. You could be in situations that the game is meaningless. And, Jacoby Brissett threw the ball to the tight end position, I think, more than anybody in football last year. If he's your starter, which he will be to start the season, that is very good for Trey McBride. But as we said on our show about the AFC West and Brock Bowers, it is very likely that the Raiders go through a quarterback change at some point during the year, and it is very likely that the Cardinals do. There's just no advantage for the Arizona Cardinals to, like the Brissett contract crap that we're talking about, it's all about a year. It's all about being the starter this year. And barring a miracle, this team will be circling the drain, and you're going to try out some other players like Carson Beck.
And I'll tell you, locally here, the media has nothing to talk about. Carson Beck is like one of the biggest storylines for the Cardinals this offseason. So he will 100% be playing, and sadly, and this is worth, thinking through, more than likely it's probably near the fantasy playoffs. It's towards the end of the season, and that will not be as good an offense, presumably. Rookie quarterbacks don't usually support high-end wide receivers or running backs or tight ends, and then when they rarely do, they're not a third-round, pick.
Let's tell people what to do with Jeremiah Love because, again, just because you were drafted to a situation we don't love doesn't mean you're not going to be important or valuable or interesting for fantasy. Again, it's in the best interest of the Cardinals to give Jeremiah Love opportunities to establish himself in the league as the one kind of shining piece of this puzzle than it is to me to give snaps to James Conner in the back half of the year. So whether it's more of a committee to start the season, I do think the Jeremiah Love Express will get going for the vast majority of the back 2/3 of the season.
I agree. And where he's being drafted this year is
thank
acceptable.
You to Ashton Genty.
Yeah, I mean, basically last year Ashton Genty should have been drafted where this year's Jeremiah Love is being drafted. Last year, Genty was the back of the first-round pick, too high.
Very bad team.
And then he finished as a running back 1, but it felt like one of the biggest bust picks in all of fantasy football because what you paid for him was to be a superstar, and he really wasn't. He volumed his way towards, relevance at the end of the year. You're going to have a lot of the same of that. I do think that it will be a slow start for Jeremiah Love, which sucks. The team went out and they paid for Tyler Algier. Tyler Algier was just behind a veteran Bijan Robinson and still vultured goal line carries. This team isn't going to have a whole lot of goal line opportunities. So if you take, four of those opportunities away from Love, I'm not saying, they're going to.
Well, he can do some scoring from outside of that zone.
Absolutely, and he will need to.
Floor and ceiling, Mike. Jeremiah Love can finish where? Floor and ceiling.
So floor, I think if everything went terrible for Jeremiah Love, his floor is still in the top 20. So he's at a place where I don't think he's a bad pick at all. Ceiling-wise, over the second half, they just say, hey, you're the guy. Let's see what we can do
you can
here.
Catch the ball.
And you're going to get a bunch of targets because we're going to be losing. I think the ceiling is still in the top 10. So it's where his ADP is right now. I'm seeing like a running back 13 in best ball,
running back 13 on sleeper,
and it's like he could legitimately be your running back too. A world exists where that's happening. It's like starting like RB with Love as my RB2. I think that's enticing.
The Genty excitement last year was far better than what Love's excitement is this year. And Genty
Love's a better prospect.
And Genty ended up playing on the league's worst team. It was a bumpy ride, but the cost was around higher, and there were games. I mean, you did get big games from Genty.
You got big games, but I would say that while both teams look like they are not good, they're not going to win a ton of games, and they're not great offenses. The Cardinals' offense projects better, but the difference is last year Genty went to a team that had no one else they could hand the ball to. There's just no competition for touches. And for the Cardinals, they're not going to.
We did go into the offseason. I remember you guys were worried about that.
About what?
About Genty having competition.
No, not.
Yes, there was conversation about
August.
it. Yes, there was.
In
August.
It's not the competition. It's the concern that Coobs wants to have more of a timeshare.
No, that's this year.
That's for this year.
He's saying last year. Last year there was no one on their depth chart.
I think there was still some conversations around.
Who would we have said?
I mean, Mostert was.
Raheem Mostert was the
RB2.
So it was.
But no, they also had the dude from the year before. No, that everybody hyped up.
Zamir White.
Zamir White.
I
remember conversations. I remember them because it's like the rookie might not get everything you think. Okay,
this sounds like conversations you were having with yourself.
As a mirror.
No.
Yeah.
Marvin Harrison is being drafted in the 7th. Michael Wilson in the 7th.
Interesting.
I mean, I'll take the shot on Marvin Harrison. I'm fully moved to that side of like if I get something valuable out of this. Like Michael Wilson's weeks were mostly without Marv, where he was outrageous. Will it happen for Marv this year? I don't know, man. I mean, he's not being drafted like it will. That's a nice nice boost. He's going to face the same rookie quarterback problems at the second half of the year too. This is going to be one train wreck of a season for Arizona, and you're going to have to go along for the ride with Trey McBride, and that ride will be good. Jeremiah Love's ride should be all right.
Yeah.
And the Michael Wilson one is going to be the most risk, but it's also the not the price that you were paying in years past.
Yeah, the price for the risk is already built in. I'm fine taking a shot at Marv. He had 808 as a rookie, got injured last year, and now is coming back in year 3 as a guy that is seen as a core piece of this team's future. And so he's going to have the opportunity to step up. He certainly got in the gym
before
this offseason.
I mean, his points per game when active and healthy last year went down. That is not good.
Before the injury, so it's 9 games played. The pace was 990 and 7.5.
So that would have been 10.6 fantasy points per game, which is about
like where you're drafting.
That would have been better than pre-injury. It would have been better than his rookie season.
And drafting that at wide receiver 34, that's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Are you guys drafting Michael Wilson? Like, will you take a shot on that in the seventh?
I've got no problem taking, if I'm adding depth to my wide receiver room, taking a shot if he's in the 8th round.
It's unbelievable what he was able to do. And yes, I get that Marv wasn't there, but Marv has never done anything like that.
Not even close. It's not like when Michael Wilson goes out, Marv was putting up Jerry Rice numbers.
Exactly. So
this is tough. So let me just throw out these names, because they're all sitting right next to each other. So you've got Jordan Tyson, Marvin Harrison, Mekhi Lemon, Michael Wilson, and Alec Pierce. They're all in the – you're not getting – presumably where those guys are drafting, you're getting one of them.
Alec.
Yeah, I think
I'll take
Alec
Pierce. All right, divisional predictions. We got to wrap this up. Rams, 49ers, Seattle, Arizona.
That's how you're going?
That's how I'm going. Rams, 49ers, Seattle, Arizona.
I'm going Rams, Seattle, 49ers, Arizona.
That's what I've got as well.
Which is what happened last year, right? Oh, no, wait. Did you take Rams?
Yeah, Rams.
Okay. So the Rams would jump over Seattle in your situation.
Yep.
So we'll hear from the Seattle fans. Congrats on your championship, by the way.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
That is
Wish
something.
we had one.
We're going to get you in week 2. You got to watch out for us.
Goodbye. They're going to cover that spread.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.